Sayadaw described the path as Arya, pure and clean. And he also described it as Samadukhakyagami. If one walks the path straight along the path, one will reach the safe destination. If one errs, if one goes wrong, one won't reach that safe destination. Thus the Buddha urged us to walk the path correctly. The Buddha said that one who does not know about this path, or who's not interested, who may know about the path but doesn't walk it, doesn't take it on, or walks in a sluggish manner, such a person is missing the path. The Buddha said, Yesan Hesan Hi Bhikkhave Sattaro Satipatthana Viradha. That means one who doesn't observe the arising physical object every time it arises without a break. That is, one who doesn't practice Kayanupassana Satipatthana. One who doesn't observe the arising feeling as it arises continuously without a break with steadfast mindfulness. That is, Vedanupassana Satipatthana. One who doesn't observe the arising mental objects, the arising thoughts, imaginations, and so on, continuously without a break with steadfast mindfulness. That is, one who doesn't practice Chetanupassana Satipatthana, one who doesn't observe seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and other general objects when they arise. That is Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. If one doesn't know about the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness, or if one knows but is not interested, such a one is missing the path of Satipatthana. And for such a one, the Buddha said, Virado te san aryo atengiko mego samadukhakyagami. They're missing the pure and clean path, which the Buddha taught for eliminating of suffering. This path is called aryo, pure. If something is dirty, then it's low level, it's base. But when it's pure and clean, because of that purity, it's elevated. It's high standard. And this path is also Samadukhakyagami. This path systematically eliminates the kilesas that are the cause of 100% of the suffering that beings experience. This path, which is called Samadukhakyagami, systematically eliminating the cause of our suffering, is the Satipatthana path. Arya Samadukhakyagami. If we don't practice the path of Satipatthana, then this pure, clean, systematic path for eliminating the cause of suffering is no longer there. This path is closed. It's not open for us to walk. And therefore the Buddha said that the meaning of the Pali that was just recited is that this clean and pure Eightfold Path is therefore missed. Only when we keep our awareness will we be able to eliminate transgressive acts with mindfulness, with sati. These transgressive kilesas, vitekama kilesas, the gross level, can be completely eliminated, or if they do occur, they will be rare. And sila, keeping this, avoiding transgressive acts, is similar to the way we have to drive a car. We need to drive a car according to the rules of the road. We drive along, we stay in our lane, we pass when it's permitted with a dotted line, we stay to the right if we are on a drive-right country, and we follow the traffic signals. When the light is green, we can proceed. When the light is yellow, proceed with caution, and when it's red, we should come to a stop. So in driving, this is very important. And similarly, as human beings, people who are going to walk the path that is walked by good people have to follow the straight path. Otherwise, they will transgress. When we walk the path of sila, we get the benefit of clean, pure behavior. And if we don't walk this path, then we won't get that benefit. So understanding the benefit that avoiding transgression, understanding that this is beneficial, is very important for us to reach Nibbana. And we should also understand that there are 7 benefits of Satipatthana, practicing Satipatthana, that the Buddha explained in the Satipatthana Sutta, beginning with purity of mind. One should know these in advance. One should also know that good acts beget good, bad acts beget bad, and one should understand the benefits of Satipatthana at the beginning of one's practice. One should learn about these. If that's the case, then the light of the world has not gone out. This understanding that good actions create good actions, good results, and bad actions bring about bad results, is the light of this understanding is the light of the world. And when this light is out, then we believe in an individual soul, or we may believe that there's nothing after death, or we may believe that the soul goes from one body to another. When one body dies, this soul migrates to another body. Or we might believe that people and trees and animals and the mountains are all created by a supreme being. If one doesn't practice, one won't come to see that these beliefs are false. If one doesn't see the cause and effect relationship between phenomena, then one believes in a creator. And if there's no practice of Satipatthana, one won't see the relationship of cause and effect, how Nama and Rupa are related by cause and effect. When objects arise in one's being, if one doesn't apply mindfulness, one won't know anything. And such a one will spend one's time with bad results. One's time will be wasted with undesirable things. When one doesn't understand that good actions bring good results and bad actions bring bad results, then the light of the world is out, and in that case, darkness will arise. In the dark, one can't see the path. One can't see what's correct, and thus one will transgress. And in doing so, one will create enemies. So one will not have any peace. One will suffer, and so will others. So one has to be careful about this. One has to be aware of the fact that good begets good and bad begets bad. And if so, the light of the world will be lit in one's being. An analogy for this understanding is that we understand that when we eat suitable food, it's good for us. It brings good results. And if we eat unsuitable food, it's bad for us. Thus, we try to eat good food and we try to avoid bad food. And it's the same way with our actions. When we understand that good actions will bring good results for us, and bad actions will result in bad things, then we know that if we avoid bad deeds, we won't get bad results. And this is according to what the Buddha said. With this knowledge that good things bring good acts bring good results, bad acts bring bad results, one will have the courage to do good and to avoid what is bad. And this is no small thing. One also must then investigate what is good, what is bad. One has to investigate this, and knowing what is good and what is bad, one has to avoid the bad things and do the good things. And this is very important. So what is meant by the 4 foundations of mindfulness becoming fully developed? When we can observe the rising and the falling and other objects of the body, physical objects, without a miss or with very few misses, when we can observe this with steadfast mindfulness, this energy is said, this Kayanupassana Satipatthana is said to be fulfilled. When feelings, good or bad, especially unpleasant sensations such as aching, pain, and so on, arise in our body, these are Vedanas. When we can bear these with patience and observe them, then we are said to be able to overcome them. And for those who fear death, at the beginning of the practice, when there's just a little bit of pain, such yogis want to shift or move here and there and even open their eyes. So we can't do this. If Vedana feeling arises, we have to note it firmly. And if it becomes strong, then we have to back off a bit. So what can happen is that when our effort and mindfulness become a bit good, then the pain, when we note it, it becomes really large and it seems huge. And if one can't note that at that point, but instead shifts one's position or reacts to the pain, then one won't be able to overcome the pain. So what one needs to do is like a combination of advancing and then retreating, advancing and retreating. You note it, and when it becomes extreme, then you have to back off a bit. And so then you resume your noting again of it. And if you do this advance and retreat 3 times, and you still find the pain unmanageable, it becomes really huge, then just put more, you just let it go. You put more attention on the rising and the falling so that your mind won't go to the pain. But if, as you're noting the rising and the falling with strong effort, if the pain arises, then you have to note it. And if one continues to develop one's noting, if one can note it a lot, there will no longer be any sense of where in the body this pain is arising. If our bottom becomes painful, extremely painful, and we can note it, get past the point that there's no longer any rear end that is appearing in our mind. There won't be any knee. When the knee is painful and we can note that pain in the knee disappears. When there's no longer any sense of what part of the body is aching, when we can note it successfully, this no longer arises in our mind. There's just pains, aches, solidity, numbness, and so on. And at that point, we are said to have overcome the pain. There's no longer any me involved. And when we continue to note it, we see it disappear. And when the pain disappears, then it's really good to note. One feels really good and clean. So when we practice, one should not be afraid of death. One needs to sit for a full hour and note the feelings that arise. And if one does so, as mentioned, then Vedana Vipassana Satipatthana will come to be fulfilled. And we also need to note the wandering mind, the thinking mind. We must note so that the wandering mind is reduced until it occurs minimally. And this is when we are said to have developed Chittanupassana Satipatthana. We also need to note the various objects of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling whenever they arise. If our noting of these four kinds of objects is strong, then we will be clean of kilesas. The kilesas won't come. The kilesas, if we did not apply mindfulness, the kilesas would come into our mind stream. But because of the sati, the mind is protected, the kilesas can't enter. Sati blocks the kilesas, and thus the mind is secure and clean. And with samadhi, the mind falling collectively on the object, the mind does not go to sense pleasures. It doesn't go to wanting to see, hear, taste, touch, smell good things. It falls collectively on the object. And when the mind is connecting directly with the object, then there's no what is called micca vitaka, no wrong thought, no thoughts of wanting to harm other people, no thoughts of wanting to possess what belongs to other people, no thoughts of ill will, wanting to hurt others. There will only be wholesome thoughts arising in one's mind. And this is fulfilling the power of Satipatthana. And this, developing the full power of Satipatthana can happen in a matter of days. And this is what the Buddha was talking about when he said, Tesang, Yesang Tesang, hi bekave chataro Satipatthana Araddha. Araddho tesang aryo atengiko mago samadukakya kami. The four foundations of mindfulness are practiced, and thus the path to peace is open. We say that the force or the energy of the Satipatthana is full. It has full force. And although we say sati, we mention sati, the companions of sati are also present. Virya, effort, is there. And from the initial effort, it becomes stronger and stronger as we practice. And this is called Araddha. And when the virya, effort, becomes very good, then it's called pagaha. This means that it goes up continually. It never stops going up. It doesn't slide back either. It doesn't stay in the same place, stagnate. It has full force at this point, and it's mature. And mindfulness, sati, sticks time and again to the object. This is called Upatita Sati. And when it sticks to the object firmly every single time without a miss, then it's even improved from that and called Supatita, well-established Sati. And Samadhi, to the extent that Sati is good, Samadhi is also good. And due to the Samadhi, the mind does not go to thoughts of any desirable sense objects, wanting to see, hear, taste, touch, smell good things. And there's also no desire, no thinking about harming others. So Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, is in full force at this point. And sometimes, of course, we miss, but later we hit the object directly every single time. And this is, our mind becomes like someone who has practiced darts again and again, trying to improve one's hand. And when one practices enough, one can just hit the bullseye every single time. This is how our mind becomes in noting the object. And knowledge develops, starting with the discernment of nama and rupa, the physical and the mental, and knowledge of how they are related as cause and effect. And thus, sampajanya is in full force. This is what is meant by developing the energy of Satipatthana until it's full. And if one practices, one will be able to develop Satipatthana fully like this. If one doesn't practice, one won't. The knowledge that is called sampajanya is very clear at this point. And sampajanya is something that Sayadaw mentioned last night. It is knowing correctly, distinctly, in a special way. Knowing fully, distinctly, in a special way. Knowing for oneself, by oneself, distinctly, in a special way. When one observes the rising, one sees one rising after another. One moment of stiffness, tension, or moving after another. Each one very clear, each one distinct from the other. Also, when noting the falling, one sees the falling, individual moments of falling, distinct, each one distinct from the other. When one notes heat, it's not just a big lump of heat. In each noting, one encounters heat, and each moment of noting the heat is separate from the next. Each heat that one notes in each moment is distinct from whatever else. So things become very distinct, and the objects and the mind occur very clearly in one's mind. When one has effort and sati, samadhi, accurate aim, and clear knowing of sampajanya, then satipatthana is fulfilled. And when we analyze a moment of noting, what is called the forerunner path is present. Sayadaw doesn't have time to go into this today, so he will continue tomorrow. That's all for today.